genetic driver of anxiety discovered. Hello, welcome to the English Language Learning Podcast. Pode encontrar a leitura na descrição no canal de YouTube. Todos os vídeos têm uma leitura. You can find it in the description. The headline for today, genetic driver of anxiety discovered. Genetic driver of anxiety discovered. This is a pesquisa, a study, a research study from the University of Bristol, not Bristol, Connecticut in the United States, Bristol in the United Kingdom. From April 25th, 2023, an international team of scientists has identified a gene in the brain responsible for anxiety symptoms and found that modifying the gene can reduce anxiety levels, offering a novel drug target for anxiety disorders. The discovery highlights a new amygdala pathway that regulates the brain's response to stress and provides potential therapeutic approach for anxiety disorders. A gene in the brain driving anxiety symptoms has been identified by an international team of scientists. Critically, modification of the gene is shown to reduce anxiety levels, offering an exciting novel drug target for anxiety disorders. The discovery, led by researchers at the Universities of Bristol and Exeter, is published online today, not today that I'm making the episode, but on April 25th, 2023 in the journal Nature Communications. Anxiety disorders are common, with 1 in 4 people diagnosed with the disorder at least once in their lifetime. Severe psychological trauma can trigger genetic, biochemical, and morphological changes in neurons in the brain's amygdala, the brain region implicated in stress-induced anxiety, leading to the onset of anxiety disorders, including panic attacks, I've had one, not fun, and post-traumatic stress disorder. That is all I will read from the article. There's more details, some other things. Current anti-anxiety drugs have low efficacy. More than half or more than 50% of people who take them have symptoms of depression return or come back. Why? Because of our bad or poor understanding of brain systems and pathways and molecular events causing anxiety. So it's a issue of the causes, not just the manifestações, no, but the causes, what's causing the anxiety, not just how do you treat the symptoms, what is causing it. Coming up next, all things English. Genetic driver of anxiety discovered. Genetic driver of anxiety discovered. That was our headline from the University of Bristol. We read the intro of a study, uma pesquisa, estudo. Estuda? Pesquisa. It's about anxiety. It's about a discovery about what is causing anxiety, not externally, but in the brain, what is happening. Now, all things English, a driver of something, genetic driver of anxiety, a cause, a conductor, condutor genética de ansiedade. To reduce something can reduce anxiety levels, reduzir níveis de ansiedade, reduzir, to reduce, R-E-D-U-C-E. Novel, a novel drug. Uma droga nova, novel, N-O-V-E-L. It's an adjective for new. A target, a novel drug target, alvo. To highlight something. The discovery highlights a new pathway. A pathway is a caminho. So pathway is caminho. To highlight something, we can go with, we have a few options, I think. Realçar, Ressaltar, sublinhar, to emphasize, right? To give emphasis. An approach, for an approach, an approach for anxiety disorders. Uma abordagem para transtornos de ansiedade. Abordagem, approach. What is the approach? Okay, o abordagem. Is shown to reduce anxiety levels. Is shown to do something, to be shown. Ser mostrado para reduzir. So, é mostrado, ser mostrado, is shown, is shown. To trigger something, Trigger, to trigger. It can trigger genetic changes, causar, instigar, to trigger. Trigger, the noun or nome, trigger is gatilho, right? You use the gatilho to shoot a gun. You pull the gatilho, and something happens after, right? So that's how we use the word as a verb in English, to trigger something. For example, the fireworks triggered my anxiety. Now, the fireworks don't cause my anxiety. Something else is causing it. But in the moment, the thing that is instigando, triggering my anxiety, is the fireworks, or are the fireworks. The onset of something, leading to the onset of anxiety, o aparecimento de ansiedade. Aparecimento, onset, when something starts to happen, when something starts to appear. The onset of herpes, when you start to see it on your face. Neural circuits, circuitos neurais. It's a tough one for me. Neurais. To be underlying, the neural circuits underlying anxiety. Subjacente à ansiedade. Subjacente. To be underlying. Underlying is a adjective, an ing adjective, that describes something being the fundamental cause or reason, right? Subjacente. That is all, I think. I think that's all. I mean, it's a pesquisa, so maybe there are more words that are technically difficult and maybe challenging, un desafío. But you need to tell me. Leave a comment. Tell me if I missed something, okay? Coming up, questions and conversation about the topic of anxiety. Have you had a panic attack? Have you experienced anxiety? When do you experience anxiety? And why do I think this matters to Brazilians, this study? Coming up in the next segment. Genetic driver of anxiety discovered. This is a study. That's the headline from the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom. We have questions and conversation about anxiety specific to you. So, when are you most likely to experience anxiety? You, personally, you. When are you most likely to experience anxiety? Me, personally. I have a daughter. She's 3 years old. So when you have a kid, kids do things that cause parents anxiety all the time, usually in public. But I'll give an example. Seeing your kid at the park, do something mean to another kid. Yeah, that produces anxiety. Like, I gotta interact with the other parent. My daughter just threw sand at another kid, or said something a little bit not nice. Okay, we gotta handle this. That causes some anxiety. Not a lot, but it causes some. Elevators. Some people experience anxiety standing in the elevator. Do I talk? Do I not talk? Do I look at your face or your eyes? Do I look down? Do I use my cell phone? Do I wear headphones? Do I press the button for you? Do I hold the door for the people coming? Is it full? What else? Sitting, waiting for the doctor, right? Anxiety, waiting for results. Any results, not just medical results. Waiting for results. Preparing for work presentations. Doing presentations. Speaking publicly. When are you most likely to experience anxiety or stress? Quando você está most provável ficar com ansiedade? Have you ever experienced an attack or episode of intense anxiety or stress? A panic attack. Have you ever had a panic attack? Se você já alguma vez passou por ataque de pânico ou ansiedade ou estresse, I have. It was about a year ago, and it was awful. It was awful. I thought I was dying. This was in the middle of the night. Excuse me. I'll try to tell the story fast, but it's hard because everything that happened felt like it was happening slowly, and it felt like it was hours, but it wasn't. Cold sweat, hearing the TV was on. I remember hearing the voices change and get distorted. My vision was bad. I remember my vision being abnormal. I remember thinking, oh my God, my heart feels like a grenade. It feels like it's exploding, continuously exploding in my chest. Oh my God. It felt like a rock, uma pedra. My body was cold. I remember telling my partner, hey, I think I woke her up. She was sleeping next to me. I think I need some help. I think I need to go to the hospital. I think I'm dying. I thought I was dying. We had to wake up my baby. We called an Uber because we didn't know if calling an ambulance was appropriate. We didn't know how long it would take or how expensive it would be. I remember being outside and hyperventilating and kind of being in a physically tense shake. My body was shaking. I remember calling, FaceTiming my parents on a video call, and they told me, hey, this looks like a panic attack. You need to control your breathing. I'd go get a paper bag and breathe into it for 30 seconds and then breathe normally for 30 seconds. Went to the hospital. Yeah, went to the hospital. Did all the physical tests, right? Am I having a heart attack? Am I dying? Is something happening in my lungs? No, your tests are fine. Everything's normal. So was it a panic attack? I believe it was. Did I ever get diagnosed with that? No. But it definitely hit all of the metrics, all of the symptoms of a panic attack. It was awful. It was horrible. I mean, I'm not kidding. This is not an exaggeration. I thought I was dying in front of my child and my partner. And that it was a horrible feeling. It was, I guess I'm ready for the next one if I have another. But for the first time, I'm telling you, the first time you have an actual panic attack, you will think you are dying. It was that intense, and it was. I think one important thing to mention too is the mental side of it. It wasn't just that I was feeling symptoms that made me think I was dying. It was the thought. My brain could not escape the negative cycle of thinking that I was dying, that this is real, the symptoms are real, and if the symptoms are real, then that must mean that something is really happening, and if it's my heart, then I'm dying. I must be dying. This is what dying feels like. Okay, this is my last moments. I remember telling my daughter I love her. I remember, and she was half asleep. This was at like 2 a.m. I remember, telling my parents I love them. On the Zoom, the video call. It was bad. It was really bad. I can't really explain much more than physically there was a real, very real physiological moment, and there was a very real psychological inability to escape the negative thinking of I'm dying, the symptoms are real, and that must mean that I'm dying. It was horrible. So, have you ever experienced a panic attack? What would you tell a younger person about dealing with anxiety? O que você faria, o que você contaria para uma pessoa mais jovem sobre como lidar com ansiedade? That's a tough question. What would I tell? The first thing I would say to a younger person, sem saber qualquer coisa da saúde dele, dela, um, da história médica dele, dele. I would probably start by saying anxiety is normal. It will come and it will go. And for me personally, the most the thing that helped me dig out, climb out of the hole of a panic attack, or even now, just negative thinking, is remembering that it's just a moment. It will have a beginning, it will have a middle, and it will have an end. And that is for certain. There will be a beginning and a middle and end to the moment. And anxiety happens in moments. What else would I tell someone about anxiety? That there are treatments. Um, you know, I've talked to a therapist before. There are there are conversations that you can have with medical and health professionals about anxiety, and there are treatments that they can tell you or recommend to you to help with anxiety. And the study that we're reading from, not coincidentally, the study is about anxiety, and there are still things to learn about what causes anxiety physiologically, not like what things in people's lives can cause anxiety. No, we kind of know that, but physiologically in your brain, what causes it? Where does it manifest? Where is the connection between what happens and what we're perceiving in the world and what we're feeling because of those stimuli? So I would say that it's real. It's like everything. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And there are conversations you can have with people whose professional lives are about helping you with anxiety. And I would also follow with, you know, actually, yeah, the last thing I would say is nature. Find ways to connect and be present with and in nature. If you live in a city, that's especially difficult. If you have to drive a car to work every day, that's especially difficult. If you have to sit in a train underground, that's especially difficult. But if you live in a city like Sao Paulo, there are parks, there are trees, I mean, you can find spaces, and I admit some of them are very small, where you can interact with nature. Whether it's a little bee or a butterfly or a park that you can kind of disappear in, a walk, even if nature means taking a walk in your neighborhood, not just nature, right? Your environment, your ambiente. Walk, move, look at people, hear voices, physically move, and try to interact, interagir com natura, interact with nature, natureza, excuse me. What are some ways that you prefer to relax? You, individually, personally, you. What are some ways that you prefer to relax? I use maconha. I smoke marijuana to relax at the end of a night. Podcasts. I have podcasts that I listen to that are not focused on the topic of relaxing, but that help me relax. What else helps me relax? I mentioned one. Actually moving, being active in my environment, walking around the neighborhood, doing exercise helps me relax. I hate exercise. I hate it. Let me say, I hate exercise, but it does help me relax. And I've created a habit where I don't do exercise every day. I do it every other day. Monday, yes. Tuesday, no. Wednesday, yes. And now, if I skip a day of exercise, I don't feel right. So, and that could be dangerous. If I get lazy for too long, then the anxiety increases, right? And then it doesn't help me relax. It becomes a point of more anxiety. But usually, because the habit is so strong, I do go back to doing exercise always, even if I take 2 or 3 days break because I'm sick or because I'm especially tired, or have a particularly high anxiety and I have a moment of weakness of I don't want to do anything today and I'm not going to do anything. But exercise, simple exercise. I don't go to the gym. You don't need to go to the gym. I do exercise at home. You can look on YouTube. You can look on Google Images for quick, 10-minute exercises to do, in your bedroom. So that's what I would say. That's how I prefer to relax. Video games, another one. I love video games. Video games for me will always be a place to escape. And escapism is a way to relax. Did I ask that in Portuguese? No, I did not. Quais são alguns jeitos, caminhos que você usa, que você preferia para relaxar? Do you think, ultimately, a pill could solve anxiety? Or do you think that, ultimately, humans will always be experiencing and accepting some level of anxiety? Se você acha, ultimamente, uma comprimida pode resolver ansiedade. Ou, se você acha que, ultimamente, os humanos vão sempre passando por e aceitando algum nível de ansiedade. I think the latter. I think the second option. I think humans will always be experiencing some level of anxiety, right? Even if there is a pill that people create, take this pill, your anxiety goes away. You lose all anxiety. Well, then wouldn't there always be a moment where you have to take another pill? Right? So, even just the act of reaching into the bottle to take the next pill, you would have some anxiety that it won't work, or that when do I need to get more pills? Right? I need more pills. I have some now, but what about tomorrow? What about next week? There will always be some anxiety, I think, that we experience. We'll never be able to take a pill. This is my opinion, obviously. I'm not a doctor. If you're listening to me for medical advice, you're in the wrong place. But I think humans will always have anxiety. I believe it's part of our DNA, right? It's part of evolution has produced anxiety, or at least allowed it to persist. I'm not sure if we would be good with no anxiety. Another question. Is anxiety always bad? And that's not on the written text for this episode, but is anxiety always bad? Se você acha que a ansiedade sempre está ruim ou mal, ou tem uma função, does anxiety have a function? And if you think it does have a function, what is it? Why do I think this matters to Brazilians? Well, we're all human, so I think in the general sense it applies to Brazilians because we're all humans. We all have to push through some anxiety. Sometimes the anxiety can be extremely intense and devastating. Because it is a normal thing to experience, we should try and reverse any stigma around talking about and treating anxiety. Not too long ago, therapy was not a welcome topic. Not among friends, not among family, not among the professional world, especially in your career. You couldn't tell someone you were going to see a therapist. Going to see a marriage counselor or therapist was considered failure. Oh my God, you must have problems. We all have problems. So that you going to do something to help your problems, in the past, that was seen as you failed. That's it. It's over. It's you are a failure. You were contaminated. So that was not always the world we're living in now, which still therapy is not a very popular thing among most people, I don't think. But I think it's becoming, it's coming out of the sombra, right? It's coming out of the shadows. It's something that famous people, athletes, are talking about this stuff. Athletes are the hyper-masculine segment, right? But no, even they are talking about getting treatment for anxiety. So that is all. I hope you enjoyed. Inscreve, subscribe, leave a comment, a like or dislike, whatever. or don't, but I hope you continue listening to the English Language